Welcome everyone to the Talent Talks podcast. I'm your host, Pavlodar Drake Verge, aka Paul Drake Verge, and this is the show where we discuss the mental, emotional, and spiritual journey of entrepreneurship. I'm the co-founder of Talent Trellis, where we specialize in helping businesses expand by sourcing top-tier international talent, and also the co-founder of Wild Outdoor Apparel, which specializes in making wood caps. Today on Talent Talks, we're excited to welcome a very special guest, Andrea Lo. The dynamic founder of both Toronto Dating Hub and Toronto Event Hub, Andrea, with her extensive background in marketing and event planning, has been transforming the way single connect in Toronto since the challenging times of 2020. Her ventures are more than just the businesses. They are platforms for creating unique and engaging experiences. I would know. Toronto Dating Hub, known for its fresh and innovative approach, offers a range of services from dating coaching to unique event formats like puppy yoga and jet ski speed dating. Jet ski speed dating. Wow, okay. Focusing on creating a comfortable and enjoyable environment for singles. Similarly, Toronto Event Hub, a passion project born out of Andrea's love for connecting people, has hosted over 175 events since its inception, catering to professionals, singles, and game enthusiasts. Andrea's dedication to creating meaningful connections and her innovative spirit in the industry truly sets her apart, and I can speak for that because I've been to many events and I'm going today. Andrea, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
It's amazing seeing you. When did we first meet? Do you remember when we first met? Actually, I think I met you without you even knowing me.
You mentioned it was during the summer at Lavelle.
It was at the summer at Lavelle. And so if you know Andrea, she's very upbeat. She always brings a positive vibe. And I remember we're sitting by Lavelle and things like people, as they go into the events, as you know, they're kind of like a little bit awkward. They don't really know what to say. Awkward, yeah. And then I see Andrea come out with the microphone. She's like, okay, everybody, I need pictures. You over there, you over there. So it was all direction. And then I was like, who is this? Because you left a memorable mark on me. And then it was afterwards where I went to the first event, which was at the Staples Center, which was absolutely amazing. Really loved that. So would love to hear a little bit more about, I know I'd give you a little bit of intro, but if you want to go a little bit deeper into what it is that you do for Toronto Event Hub or Toronto Dating Hub, would love to hear it from your perspective.
Sure. Well, first of all, that was an amazing intro.
Thank you.
Well written. Thank you so much. So also, should I be looking there or there?
Well, just look at me. It's like we're just talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Andrea.
Keep that in.
I'm Andrea. So I am an event planner. I like to say event extraordinaire. I love doing events. I love hosting events. And right now, every month, I host 3 types of events, which include game night socials, singles events, as well as networking mixers. So those are my own 3 events that 3 types of events I host every month. And then, as I'm getting bigger and getting more clients, I do other people's events where I collaborate, and I can do anything from workshops, whether they're online or in person, client appreciation or employee appreciation events, or celebratory milestone events. So anything to do with events and connecting people, that is what I'm doing.
So before we really dive in the specifics of your industry, I want to know a little bit more about Andrea Lo as a person and what kind of brought you towards this path. So I would kind of know, like, when growing up, did you have any mentors or role models that you kind of looked into that you think influenced some of your decision making?
I actually never thought I would, become an entrepreneur or business owner. It was really like, okay, I love hanging out, talking to people, like working with people. And I really liked being creative. When I was younger, I dabbled in, I still dance. So there was dancing. I thought about being a teacher. At one point when I was a kid, I was like, I want to have a dollar store because I liked ringing up transactions and selling things. So I actually really like sales. So I did a number of different things, customer service. I worked retail for 8 years. And so I think all that just really helped me know that I really liked being around people. Mm-hmm. So I definitely knew that I wanted a job or a career path that I was always hanging out with people. And at one point, I learned about brand ambassadors, so experiential marketing, which had a bit of sales. You're always around people. You get to be creative. You're representing different brands. And, I just fell in love with marketing and events.
So take us through some of that initial event planning job that you had for these experiential events. What really set that off for you? Like, what was like, okay, this is something that I want to do for foreseeably for the rest of my life?
Well, when I was a brand ambassador and in experiential marketing, working for various agencies, one thing was the variety of clients and the variety of brands that you come across. So whether it's a car brand, beauty brand, other consumer brands, like you're just always around different brands and people, which I love that variety, and I like new things because I get bored easily. So that's one thing. Being around people. So we would pull up to different festivals, different events, and honestly, really cool events. So whether it's a music festival, a conference, a gala, fundraiser, you're just always around different venues, different people. And so I was like, this is really awesome. And I just loved the energy, the vibes, all the different sort of things, whether it's lighting, sound, music, people. And it was just, I loved all of that. And then when you're talking to people, so whether it's giving someone a sample or, whether they're trying on clothes, they're trying on perfume, whatever the brand and product is that we're promoting at that time, you could see the change in people's behavior, the change in attitude, that positive sort of impact
Towards the product?
Towards the product, or just if you think about what beauty products and like anything in beauty, whether it's clothing, accessories, perfume, the change in attitude of women or how they feel more beautiful, and that kind of boosts their confidence and things like that. And so when I see that we can have an impact on people through that product or service that we're offering, I really love that aspect about that. And I think that's what really made me inspired to do events, to see how I could contribute to someone's happiness or to someone's growth, whether it's self-development, anything like that, where I have an impact on other people.
So you said that you really like the aspect of like seeing a bit of their transformation. So I'm wondering like, what does that specifically do for you? Like, is it a certain feeling that you get? Is it a feeling of fulfillment? Or can you please describe that to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think all of that, what you said, I feel awesome. I mean, if you were to change someone's life, no matter how small or big impact, making someone happier. If someone had a really shitty day and you put a smile on their face and they literally say the words, wow, like you made my day, or oh my gosh, that was so nice, or that was so wonderful, or that was beautiful. Any of these positive words, I mean, you can't help but feel awesome. So that on a day-to-day, imagine that. And for some people, I mean, right now with being a dating coach, to hear, wow, like I made so many new awesome friends in a business networking mixer, right? They're meeting new, whether it's generating leads, they're new business partners, collaborations, or again, lifelong friends. You're changing people's lives in a very positive way, and you can't help but feel wonderful about that. And the thing about, some people feel like, well, why should I do that anyways? That's not going to make any impact. But you are, even if it's one person at a time. And at my events now, I'm seeing anywhere from 40 to 120 people at a time. And if I'm impacting all those people and I'm doing 10 events, I mean, I'm seeing hundreds of people every month. And if I'm impacting them, I think that's an amazing feeling to be able to positively impact that many people every month or every day. And that makes me, I feel the gratitude. I feel appreciated.
And you don't really know, like, for example, sometimes you're walking by and there's one stranger that says something like super kind out of nowhere to you. And you're like, whoa, that was amazing. What a great day. And it's just an offhand comment to you.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever. But you have no idea what an effect it actually made on them. Right?
Absolutely.
It's like a ripple in the pond that just expands and expands. And who knows? Maybe that person's nice to someone else, and you know what I mean. And then maybe they'll come back to your event, right? Like that's how they say whatever energy you put out, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
I almost think it's like that's how it works. Like when you're like, hey, you're having a great day, that positive impact, he impacts someone, and then eventually leads back to your circle, and there you are, right?
Yeah, most of the time we are focusing on the negatives, right?
For sure.
What I didn't do, or oh man, like that really sucked, or I could have done better. We're always actually focusing on negatives. So when we're actually in a, like you said, right, we're in a positive mood, positive light, like really changes our day, and it can impact the rest of our actions.
So I think I know the answer to this. Are you an extrovert, or were you ever not one?
Yeah, great question. I think I've always, most of my life, I've been an extrovert, but there have been moments when I was younger, I was super, super shy. And whenever I tell people this, they're like, there's no way, Andrea, that you were shy at one point. And it's quite funny because now I'm coaching people on boosting their confidence and how do you talk to girls, right? So it's amazing when I tell people, no, I used to be super, super shy. But my parents helped me really come out of that. So
I feel like that's also extremely important for a dating coach because, like, I wouldn't trust someone who's just always confident because someone who's always confident, they don't know what to do. They were just like that way. But because you had to go through the shyness, that's almost like every person that's a great teacher in some aspect has had to have both polarities of the experience.
absolutely.
So how did you get yourself out of that shyness? And what was it that you were like shy about specifically?
Right. So, of course, at the time, I hated my mom for it. But of course, later on in life, you're like, oh, thank God she did that. But I remember, okay, do you remember when McDonald's had, well, they still have Happy Meals, but there used to be like
I'm not that old.
the children's Happy Meal. I don't know. There was like every day of the week was a different special for,
Yeah.
and she would give me money and say, okay, go order what you want. And I was probably like, I can't remember, like 5, right? And she's just like, just go order the food. And I'm like, I don't know how. She's like, yes, you know how. What do you want to eat? And whatever I wanted, nuggets, right? She's like, okay, well then you know how to say it. And then go up to the counter and order yourself. She wouldn't even come with me,
Wow.
right? She'd be like, go line up yourself. Here's the money. And I'm like worried about everything. Like, okay, well, how much does this is enough money? Like, what if I don't get the right change? Like, so I just remember going up to the counter. And of course, when you're like 5, everyone looks like a giant to you. You're just at this counter. So I was just like, right? Like it's inaudible because they're just like, what? And every time they're saying what, I'm just like, I can't do this, right? So anyways, she just kept making me order food on my own. I think when I was a little bit older, but she would not old enough again. I think I was probably like early teens. She sent me to Hong Kong by myself.
Wow. That's wild.
Right?
Smart woman though. Very smart woman.
I was just like, and maybe my memory serves me incorrect, but I just remember getting on a flight and was like, oh my God, how could you leave me alone? Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was 16, she sent me to China to go to camp. Right? And
by the way,
learn Mandarin.
I'm just looking at audio
Oh,
levels,
yeah.
just so you know.
So she sent me to learn Mandarin. I don't speak Mandarin.
I was gonna say, can you speak? I'm like,
barely, but she sent me to
yeah.
Mandarin camp in China, like Guangzhou, China, for a week. And when I was 16, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, you're sending me to another country to learn another language that I don't even know, and it ended up being amazing experiences. But all to say, my parents, specifically my mom, pushed me to do a lot of things when I said, no, I don't want to. And I'm sure a lot of parents out there have that same thing where, and kids, like, you're going to push them to do something, right? And outside their comfort zone. And to be honest, that's a little bit of my motto as a coach. I have to push you outside your comfort zone a bit.
Yeah,
because
100%.
how else will you grow, right?
So that's so fascinating because actually when you were saying that, so I had another guy in here named Ricky, and this the way that I see that he parented his kids was very, very similar. He was also Asian. I don't know if there's like something in the Asian community,
Maybe.
but he was so like, if I were to summarize, your mom basically treated you like, okay, like Andrea, you're an adult. Like she treated you as maturely, and she wouldn't like baby, like I don't know if she would baby talk you or this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, here's how it is. And she would explain to things very, very, I think that's beautiful because I think a lot of parents make that mistake. Not to say that, like I'm not a parent, but I think some parents, like they'd rather preserve those years and kind of like almost unconsciously keep the child dependent on them to have that attention. Maybe some they're lonely. So like it's wonderful that she pushed you out of your comfort zone because had she not, you would have maybe you still would have got to where you're being, but it would have taken longer because you would have to parent yourself. Mm-hmm. Quick question regarding after your event. So you're an extrovert now, I'm assuming, right? So you got yourself out of it because your mom was pushing you. And then what I think is the most important thing of that, and let me know if this is right, it's not the fact that she pushed you, per se, to do these events. It's that you now consciously or unconsciously understood that you can handle like the chaos or the uncomfortable zone. You got comfortable being uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
I think actually in now speaking to my family, I don't think they were sort of getting me ready for that. I think I learned that along the way, and sort of as I grew into my own person, that, chaos and just being around different things and changing, like, my schedule's crazy, right? Right now they're like, why are you doing so much? Why do you volunteer? Why do you do dancing? Like, you need more time for yourself. So now they're trying to like pull me back, and I'm like, well, like, you opened Pandora's box earlier on, so now you can't stop me.
It's like, Andrea, let's meet. Here's my calendar.
Yeah, really. They're like, are you going to be coming to the family thing? I'm like, let me check my schedule. I'm like,
Send them your calendar link.
like, tell me 3 weeks in advance. So, like, we don't do 3 weeks in advance, right? It's all different now, but it's honestly great that they pushed me. But in the Asian culture, honestly, they prepare you pretty far out. Like, I think I remember learning the multiplication table like 2 years before they did it in, my day school, right? She sent me to Saturday school. Like, I was learning math equations like way before they were teaching that in school, to really prepare yourself. So it's definitely a very common thing in the Asian culture to really expect high things of your kids and push them to do all these things. And I get it. That's the whole, maybe they didn't get that. My parents didn't have that as a kid, and they're just trying to give you everything they didn't have and to have you succeed. And I know, like, now some parents, it's that, where's that fine line between not pushing your kid off the cliff and sort of pushing them a little bit. So
where was the balance per se? Like, because I'm assuming there's a very fine balance between, okay, like, I want you to grow, but not being too like strict. Or is that something that you struggled with growing up?
I don't think my parents knew where the line was. I think I was lucky in that, however I grew up now, like, I was able to handle it in the end. I think that maybe now in hindsight, it set me up to be able to be a business owner. And because as a business owner, you're going to have a lot of failures and moments of, trying times. So I think that resilience, it really built me up for that, right? To, fail, but keep going, try harder. If you fall, get back up and do it again and try it again and again. Or, being resourceful, keep finding different resources to help you out, whether that's partnering with great friends or reading or, just different ways, and being creative, creatively solving problems.
What did you see, like, when you were growing up, what did you see them doing? Like, did you see them working all the time? What was kind of like your environment?
Yeah, they definitely, both of them, bless them, they worked so hard. So I actually didn't see them as much. My mom got off at 4, so I guess I saw her a bit more than my dad would. But then because we were so, like, it'd be like, I remember I took ballet, gymnastics, I had math school, paint, like, arts.
Math school?
Math school?
Math?
Math.
Oh, okay.
Math school.
That you're like you're singing in the altar or something.
No, math school, art, gymnastics, ballet. There were swimming classes. Like, my schedule's busy now, but as a kid, it was just the same, right? Every night was some other kind of extracurricular activity.
So it kind of got you used to being able to handle like a large load of tasks. But it also, as we'll get into, it probably made you also think, hey, I can handle this all. And if I can, why don't I? And so you're not asking for help, basically.
Again, when you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go to swimming. Like, I don't like this. I don't want to go there. I'm like so tired. I don't want to do this. The kids, you have temper tantrums or you don't want to do it. But yeah, now that you mention it, I guess it really built me up to be able, because now that when I think back to university, I remember taking 6 courses and had 2 part-time jobs while doing co-op.
My God.
And had dance and cheerleading. So I think when, during elementary school, when she already built me with that busy schedule. So then when I entered university, I was like, psh,
no problem.
Why are people doing 4 courses or 5? Like, let's do 6 and then I'll have a job and have extracurricular. I was always like, why not? Why? So now it kind of built me that people are like, you're like an Energizer bunny. And I'm like, yeah, like, let's keep doing this.
And it seems like that mentality got you far, because you're going quite far here. Like, you built a lot. But one of the downsides of that mentality is like, well, I can do it all. I don't need anyone else. You know what I mean? So now it's interesting. Now that the thing that got you so far will be the bottleneck
Could be a hindrance.
Could be the hindrance.
Yes, and I often have a hard time taking breaks. So I actually have to. I got better. I have to schedule breaks.
You have and you have to
I
schedule
have to
them.
schedule in breaks.
Sends herself the Calendly. Sends herself a Calendly to schedule.
Yeah, I literally block it off. I'm like, no one can. I need to have lunch or I need to have dinner, so I block it off, or I have to ensure like I plan out vacation time. Because, now that's been a couple years into my business, if you don't recharge, honestly, like it really drains you. And after, if you go on vacation for whether it's a week, 3 days, really to reset and recharge and reflect, it does wonders for you when you're able to do that.
So how do you, because I was assuming since you're an extrovert, you get charged up like the Energizer Bunny from your events. But now you're saying there's also draining. So what is it that drains you?
I think the part that's draining is, as an extrovert, there are times I get times when this is too much socializing, but that's because for me, so to bring you into my schedule, let's say I have 3 to 5 events in a week of my own. And then in between that, I might go to check out someone else's events because I get invites all the time. You try to support other people because you don't want it to seem like, oh, Paul, just come to my event. But if you invite me to yours, I'm like, I'm never free for you, right?
Yeah,
you have to make yourself available to other people's, birthday invites, other people's launch parties, or other people's networking. And also, I do check it out to also see what else is out there. What are my competitors or what are the other people in my industry doing?
Always thinking.
But imagine if every night you are out and about, and sometimes 2 events in one night, or even my weekends, I have 5 things scheduled literally back to back. There is no time to rest, and I'm seeing people all the time. And I can't remember if I was with you. I'll admit this on camera, I don't remember everyone's names because I'm meeting like 200 to 500 people a month. And yes, as I MC, people know my name because I'm front and center, but I don't remember everyone's names. So it's, it can be very taxing to exhausting to try and remember, everyone's names, where you met them, remember who you need to connect with again. And that's why a lot of times if I'm meeting people, I say, okay, message me right now, or let's book that meeting right now, because I know if I leave the premise, I might forget because
100%.
10 other people will message me or a new thing will pop up. So I need to like tackle things like right then and there.
I agree with you. Like if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. That's my motto for life. So in terms of after your events, right? I'm thinking from this perspective, like sometimes I get it. Like if we think of ourselves as a battery, sometimes too much of it, you get overloaded, which means then you have to also take a rest. But I was thinking like, how do you feel when you're not doing things? Like, do you have time to like, when you're silent, do you have time of silence? And is it angsty? Is it like, shit, what could I be doing? Explain that to me.
Yeah, you guessed right. I'm definitely someone who, if I don't have anything on my calendar, if I'm not doing anything, there's no Andrea not doing anything. I'm usually doing something. So I think the closest thing to not doing anything, besides obviously going on vacation and like lying, like tanning on the beach or something, the closest thing to doing nothing is when I'm watching Netflix, when I just binge watch. It's actually how I reward myself at the end of the night. Sometimes it could be like I finish, I finally turn off my computer at 1 a.m. and I'm like, I need to reward myself. So I turn on Netflix and, watch a show that, whatever, so that I actually turn off my brain.
You watch Love is Blind? So it's like still for work kind of?
How did you know? There's like either Singles Inferno or something like that. No, I actually like a lot of K-dramas. And I just want to get lost in the story, let myself cry or whatever it is.
So the phone's away. You're like, when you're watching. For
the most part, yeah, the phone's away. But yeah, I'm just watching because that's my time to just turn off my brain and just let myself like feel and relax. And a lot of times in the K-dramas or whatever I'm watching, yeah, there's a lot of relationship issues or things that I might resonate with.
And are you like, he should have done that? Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I'm gonna take that, teach it to my client.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a lot of inspiration, but I let myself feel. I think that's really important to allow to really get in touch with your emotions, especially as a dating coach. I really need to be in touch with my own feelings, with my own, like, you really have to be self-aware.
100%.
Because if you're not aware and you don't talk about feelings, how am I supposed to connect with my clients? Because a lot of times they're very guarded and they're not in touch with their feelings and emotions. So we have to get comfortable about talking about our feelings and getting vulnerable. So I also, for myself, I have to be in that practice and do it often enough to be able to really resonate and connect with my clients.
When you're still, so I think you kind of answered this question, but when you're still, is your mind going 24/7? Or because to get in touch with your emotions, you have to quiet your mind. So how do you quiet your mind? Is it the Netflix? Because I feel like that's not,
Yeah, no.
you know, how do you get in touch with your emotions? Because I think that's very important. I think our society today is like, fuck your feelings, do this, do this. But it's like, I don't think so. I think that's because your feelings are a compass to guide you to what's like not in balance with your life, in my opinion.
I'm definitely not the greatest at taking time to, meditate, but there are, times. I don't do it every day. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I try to do gratitude journaling. And if I don't write it out, it's definitely something I think about daily, whether that's right in the morning or at nighttime, and just, think about what I'm grateful for or appreciative. There are times when I get lost on Instagram. But my feeds are usually I'm reading those like nice quotes or
Yep.
those beautiful things
That's
about like,
we have a similar feed, I think.
right? So then and that's the algorithm, right? As soon as you like one or you're reading one, it just, you keep scrolling and it's all the motivational quotes or things about love. So
Yep.
and as I read each one, I am reflecting about how does this make me feel?
Okay.
And then I share it with, a few close friends about like, this one really resonates with me. Like, you need to hear it. So that's a little bit of how I like stay in touch with my emotions and just reflect a bit of like, how am I feeling today?
Because I think Instagram, like, there's times Instagram's a pretty good reflection of like you. So it's like, I think you can't really get rid of it. Like, it's here, but you can tailor it. Because if you're looking at it, like, what you're not realizing, you're basically programming yourself. And if you don't do it consciously by saying, okay, I like this one, let me think about this one. Because sometimes I'm scrolling and I see like something makes me laugh, right? I'm like, crap, that's going to go on. But I even though I laugh, I click the three dots, I say not interested because I don't want to see it again. Yeah.
That's smart.
So, okay, so that's how you kind of recharge. And so let's talk a little bit more about how Toronto Dating Hub or Toronto Event Hub started. So, as I believe, is Toronto Dating Hub went first or Toronto Event Hub was first?
Toronto Dating Hub was first.
Is that 2020?
2020.
Okay, so walk us through that. Like, how did you see this opportunity and how did you kind of pounce on it?
Yeah, so it happened in 2020. So if you remember, 2020 was the heart of the pandemic where there was the crazy restrictions. We were all at home. There was all those like restrictions where it was like, essential travel only.
Oh, God.
Right? Remember that? Or how many people per household, like, for gatherings. It was crazy. So at that time, what I remember, it was like 3 pillars of my life just like went like.
Oh, yeah. I just then, because you're so busy, you're doing things all the time. All of us. Yeah.
So what happened was I was working at a marketing agency. I had been
And also, I want you to tell me like what the emotions felt like too, because like your 3 pillars were out. Like,
yeah, 3 pillars of my life. So it was
out of 4 or out of 5?
How many pillars do we have? Just our main 3 pillars. It really. So it was
okay.
So the first one was the career. So I was working at an agency for 8 going on 9 years. So a good chunk of my career, they laid me off.
Wow.
And that was probably I was safe from the first 2 rounds. I was really thinking it wasn't going to be me, but by the 3rd round, it was me. So that was the first pillar out. So in my career, and again, you've been working there for 8 to 9 years, a good chunk of your career. Your career is a big chunk of your identity at the time. Like 100%. It's a huge thing. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And it's the middle of the pandemic, and I get it. I was in events, right? And there's nothing happening at that time. So that happened. I was dating someone at the time, and I had met him on, I think, Hinge or Bumble, one of the apps, and he happened to live in my condo building. And up until then, I had never seen him in my building, but it was almost serendipitous at the time when we started dating, where he lived in my building. And again, when we were locked down, it was kind of perfect because he lived in my building. So I didn't have to go anywhere really. Like we stayed inside the
Have
building.
them come to you.
Right. And, but he broke up with me at that time, right around the time I got laid off. So
Wow.
usually you go to your partner to get comfort and
Support.
just support. And he broke up with me at the time. So that's the second pillar, love. Then the third pillar was my family. So they're very strict Asian parents. So again, right around the time because of the whole lockdown, and my parents are a little bit older, so they're part of the seniors that you have to be careful about, like they're immunocompromised, like
Got it.
so they were really careful, and they said, well, if you don't want to move back, you can't see us. And my sister was
Move
very
back to your okay. I got
yeah,
it.
like if I didn't move back into my parents' home or with my sister, because she had two younger kids, right? They're like, you can't come see us, especially if you keep going out and doing. Because at that time, it didn't matter if you were just going to the grocery store or if you saw friends. They're like, okay, if you're gonna see other people and just go out into the world, because again, we didn't know what was happening. They're like, don't come see us.
Yep.
And again, right? I just lost my job. I lost my boyfriend. They didn't know I was dating someone at the time, but I lost my boyfriend, and then my family didn't want to see me unless I moved in, and I was like, I was not moving back.
Just a little bit prior to this, I want to kind of understand what was happening, what was going through your head at work. Were you kind of already thinking and feeling very differently to where your position was in your thing? Were you like starting to think of more like you going out on your own and all these kinds of things? Or this was like complete out of the blue?
It was quite out of the blue. I mean, I had always thought about someone should start like elite dating or doing something different about dating, because I had been single on and off for 10 years.
And were you thinking about that a lot?
I thought about it, but it wasn't like a lot because
At this time, I mean.
I was, when I work for a company, I'm very loyal to them and I treat their business like it's my baby. And
Which is like something that no one, like I want that.
Right.
I want that.
And that's why I'm like, these companies, if I ever worked for anyone, like they're usually very happy because I I lose sleep over it. I work really hard because I treat that business like it's mine. And so, yeah,
Hire her.
I wasn't really thinking about that, to be honest. But then, yeah, it's when it happened, I said, it's now or never, right? It's like now I have all this time, right? And, it wasn't as busy because during the pandemic, we weren't doing anything. We were just stuck at home, right? So I had all this time, right? I was on severance pay. So this is a great time to go out and start kind of, venture off and put this idea into action. So, but yeah, at that time, like 3 pillars gone, right? Career, love, family. It was a really dark time,
Oh, that's so,
right?
I love to hear
A
this.
really dark time. Definitely did the ugly crying, definitely.
Yeah.
Right? But luckily we were all home, so no one really saw that. But it was really tough. And that is also when I learned how fortunate that I am to have such amazing friends and support. So I'll give you an example. The next job I found took a couple months. Definitely took a couple months off, but the first job I got came from a supplier
Wow.
whose wife works for Randstad, and so they have a lot of job hirings and all that. And so that opportunity actually came from a supplier, right? And I actually at that time I had 2 job offers. I happened to get another agency offer, who again came from a referral from a ex-colleague. And then I actually ended up taking on a government contract because I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to doing what I was doing where I was working like a dog. The agency life is quite horrendous in terms of long hours. Love the kind of work. It's just, to be honest, right up until the time just before being laid off, I definitely was burnt out. So that was sort of when I started seeing some problems at work. I remember, if everyone has ever experienced
so you are seeing some, okay, so
I was seeing burnout like right before the layoff happened. So in a way, it all kind of worked out. But I remember seeing an Excel spreadsheet, and the work that I do with my eyes closed. It was something so simple that would make me cry. Like when you're feeling burnt out, like when you start feeling that where your everyday tasks seem like just overwhelming, definitely a sign of burnout, right?
So and because I'm gonna take this back to spirituality
Sure.
here, because this is basically what's called the dark night of the soul in spirituality.
Okay.
So, in your perspective, now that you have the perfect 2020 hindsight, do you think this happened to you or for you?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it happened for me. In hindsight, like seeing it all.
Because imagine all those dominoes top. Because like let's kind of take it through. Like, you're working all the time. Maybe you're not feeling appreciated, which is probably the reason why you're getting burned out, right? Maybe the relationship's kind of starting to suffer, and it's almost like sometimes I like this quote by Rumi. He says, "When you're alone or when everything starts to crumble, it's because God wants you to Himself." So it's almost like your career is toppled. This is toppled. This is toppled. But it's almost like it was your higher self being like, "This is not for you," and it just gave you that time to like look into it and really. Because look what like
I like
what
the
a
way you
great thing.
put it. Yeah. Because obviously at the time, during your dark time, you're not seeing it like, this is happening for me. That you're like,
was like
this
chaos.
is shit. Like,
Yeah, this is terrible,
life
right?
is throwing me lemons. And, it took some time, but through having a really great support system of like, Andrea, this really sucks. You don't deserve this, but you know what? You're going to bounce back up and you're going to do amazing things. Like everyone was just so supportive of me, and they're just like, this is like temporary. Like, you're going to bounce back up. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. And a bunch of people reached out and be like, do you need extra, like, do you need some work? I can throw you some extra, like, some part-time, contract work here and there. So like, before you know it, I had 3 freelance gigs as I was sort of taking my time off to just reflect. I think I couldn't travel really at that point, but I was just, going to, let's say, towards the lake, like finding little cottages or things to chill. But it was just people were so supportive, and that really helped me go, you know what? It's now or never. I'm going to try this dating idea. I know how to do events. I know how to do marketing. I definitely know what it feels like to be single. And that's kind of how the idea was born. And even the first event, in 2020, the first events were Zoom events.
Yeah.
Which people are like, how do you do dating events on Zoom? I'm like it's like house parties. Remember the house party, the house party app?
Yeah.
Or like Jackbox games. Like, there were so many things people were getting so creative with how you do like Zoom events, right? So I became an expert like on Zoom. Like, and this was before even breakout rooms was even a function of Zoom. But people loved it. But I remember the first event I did came from a business friend who does yoga. And she said, why don't we do a yoga event? I'm happy to, teach it for free for you. But because she wanted to support me in my venture. And she's, I'll be your first, let's just do it. Like, what do we have to lose? And she's like, I don't even want to charge you because you're my good friend and you're just starting your business. Like, I'm not going to charge you. Right. And that's what I mean by like having this amazing network of people who just want to support you, help you grow, and just give you these opportunities or even give you ideas. Mm-hmm. So I will be forever grateful. Her name's Echo. We're still working together right now. And, of course, with every business, it doesn't go off without a hitch or but I remember at the very beginning of this business having to give free tickets or literally messaging everyone on your list being like, are you single? Are you single? Do you want to come? And at that time, people are like, what the fuck? Like a Zoom dating event? First of all, like that's just weird to them. Let alone still at that time too, it's still a little bit taboo, right? Like, oh, I don't want to like go to a dating event or especially over Zoom. Like that's so weird, right?
Exactly.
That's to really convince people. But then it started taking off, right? Because there was nothing happening at that time, right? Unless you want to play video games.
And so. I want to get into this a little bit too, because and I want to bring this back just a little bit here. Sure. I'm interested in this, but feel free if you're not comfortable talking about it. But I kind of want to understand, like, because the reason I'm asking this is because I've had a very similar experience of like this dark night of the soul, and I'm just trying to reflect back. So I want to see if we went through something similar. So everything falls apart, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like the way that I see it. The way that I see it afterwards is, I'll just explain a little bit later. But so everything falls apart, right? The career toppled, the boyfriend's done. You can't even see your family, and you're just there by yourself. What are you thinking through? What are the emotions? You said you were crying, which I trust me, I know I cry too. But what, like, once it's out, like, was there some sort of thing you landed on, and it was like. It was basically you're fertilizing the soil for this new Andrea, And was there a moment that you remember after all the tears and it's like, I'll be okay. And it's, and there was like almost like a rebirth.
I don't think I had as clear of a like aha like moment, right? I think because I'm someone who's very careful
And how were
and guarded.
how were your emotions throughout this too? Like, did they,
Oh, like-
were your emotions like from burnout to this, did they switch?
I was definitely burnt out, and then because all the work stopped and I let myself have a couple months to not work. And again, remember, I don't like doing nothing.
Exactly.
So that's why I picked up those freelance gigs pretty quickly. Like maybe I had 1.5 months to really do nothing, and then I slowly picked it up because I was like prospecting. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll think about that. Should I apply to things? So I didn't stay doing nothing very long, but I tried to take time to. What was really great was taking the time to catch up with people. But going back to your question about emotions, definitely I was feeling exhausted from the burnout. I was going through my head, what do I want to do with my life right now? Like in terms of, because again, 3 pillars gone. So it's like, what do I do with my career? Is this the path I want to take? Do I keep want to go into agency world? Do I want to do marketing? Is this the time to like switch it up and just do something that didn't require as many hours, right? Because and I went to therapy, right? And it was sort of like, Andrea, if you go back into the same exact field or working for an agency again, you're going to continue getting burnt out because the type of person you are, you like working, you like being busy. So this little break you have is just because you are laid off. But as soon as you get a job again, you're going to go right back into the heart of like being busy and you're going to stay burnt out. So this is really for your mental health, what you want to do.
Maybe it was like, maybe you even like made that decision. It just was unconscious.
Unconscious. Again, a lot of forces at work, I think. And then in terms of love life, right? I had to question, was he the right person for me? Who is the right person for me? What am I looking for? Was this a sign? So actually into dating things, but sometimes whenever we feel puzzled of like, why do I keep meeting the same kind of people? Why do I keep...
Oh, we're going to get into this.
Right?
We're going to get into this.
You're actually manifesting these wrong things, right?
Oh, so true.
So I was reflecting, what are my trends in dating? Why do I keep meeting the same kind of... And there was a part of me that was saying, was I truly not ready to be in a serious relationship? And I was self-sabotaging. And so this was another key thing to, again, when you're really busy in the heart of things, you don't have time to think about all these things. So again, it was a really great moment to, again, reflect on all aspects of my life and say, wait a second, what am I doing? What have I been doing wrong? And how am I going to change this at this point? And again, family, yeah, I remember it was, they allowed me to see them, but it was through the window. It felt like jail, right?
Yeah.
Like through the window, like just seeing them or dropping food off in between, like through the door, right? Of like exchanging food or items. It was very like prison, like it was very awkward and weird. But again, just like looking around, like who do I want to surround myself with in terms of who are like, that is when you see who are your real friends and the people who do care about you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right? The people who would ask how you're doing or send you job postings or job offers or just like, hey, let's hang out, let's catch up. Who gives you the time of day. So it was
those are the real ones.
Right. But a lot of people came out of like the people that didn't, I was just like, I was overwhelmed in a great way of, wow, there's a lot of people that actually care about me. So why should I be so sad?
Yeah.
That they're all here to support me. So that's when that sort of the pendulum swung the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when I started being like, I'm going to make lemonade out of the lemons. I'm going to take all this negative crap and turn it into something awesome. And that's how Toronto Dating Hub was born, because I was like, if I, who had such a great support system, felt that bad and isolated and lonely at that time, then what about the people who don't have the support systems, who don't have a lot of friends? Or maybe I heard a lot of people moved during the pandemic to Toronto and they had no one.
Wow.
And so that was when that idea was like, it's now or never. And this is when people need this service and this Toronto Dating Hub. And that's why I was so passionate about putting it together and putting it out there as soon as I could to help more people out there.
So we're going to get into that right now. But I want to tell you a little bit how, like, because I went through the same thing. So I wanted to explain to you what happened energetically. So basically, so have you ever, you know what a hero's journey is?
Hero's journey.
It's like basically how stories are formed. But what tends to happen is like you're in a tribe, you're living your life. It's status quo. Then there's like some sort of call to adventure, and whether that be like a new opportunity, you're burning out, you're thinking about new things. And then what kind of happens is you meet some sort of guide along the way, whether it be a father figure, whether that be like a friend. And then what kind of happens is everything all at once falls apart. Everything falls apart and there's chaos. And you don't really, like, you're like, what is happening? Like, this is not what it's supposed to happen. But then what happens is you're kind of from a psychological level, what's happening is you're coming to face with a hidden part of yourself. It's a part of your shadow. And then what happens is you're kind of, after you figure out the lesson you're supposed to learn, you kind of crawl out of the abyss and you rejoin society. But it looks like you're in the same space, but everything around you is different. And so I had the same thing. Everything was falling apart. And so from an energetic perspective, do you know what resonant frequency is? So when you say something, because we all use these words, we just don't know what they mean. So you say something resonates with you. So what resonance is basically like, when there's a cup and you hear on a show someone's screaming and the thing starts to vibrate. So everything has a resonant frequency, and that's basically like, let's say this is like 40 hertz, right? Cycles per second. So if I shine light, like a UV light or a sound that's 50, nothing happens. 30, nothing happens. But I play it at 40, this thing starts to get energy, starts vibrating. So that's called resonance. So when you say this resonates with me, notice your body, how you feel it. You'll feel like a chill. But what that means is this piece of information, this thing, this person is like the next step or where you're at to get going. So what happens is you're starting to think differently. You're starting to feel differently. And your vibration or your emotion is starting to change. So what happens is, because you're no longer in resonance with this thing, it's not vibrating, your environment, you start to go at what's called the abyss, or it's called like you're wandering the desert, because everything that's no longer a part of your old life falls apart, whether that be your job, your boyfriend, who you probably knew, like not the one, like you kind of knew, you know what I mean? You didn't want to say it, but you knew. I may be wrong. And then maybe you couldn't see your family for whatever else. And then there's a specific point where like, you're not yet the new person. This is by Chris Williams, but you're not quite where you need to be. So it's this period of isolation and loneliness. But then, as you said, you're there, you're crying, but then your friends start to reach out. And the real ones who were your friends all along that cared about you, the ones that were at that level, because you didn't talk to them before, but the ones that were at that level, now you're there, they start reaching out. So you see how like it's an energetic thing? Sorry, I thought it was fucking cool as fuck.
That's cool.
Let me just quickly take a quick 2-minute break. I'm going to check the cameras because I always do this. We're about 50 minutes in, then we'll get into Toronto Dating Hub. I'm still recording. Oof.
How is it?
Son of a bitch, I don't know. It's this camera that I'm afraid of, actually.
The abyss.
We're good.
What time is it?
It's, how long have we been? It's 12. And we are back. Keep that in. I like it.
Do you need to?
No. I never turned them off. Okay, so things are falling apart, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And we're into Zoom events, which are a little awkward, a little weird. You're texting people. Like, walk us through that. You're messaging your single friends, and they're like, what is she doing? How did this first event go? And what happened? Walk us through that.
So the first event was this yoga. So we're doing yoga
On
over Zoom. Yeah. So
You're
remember
smart,
the Brady Brunch kind of windows?
Yeah.
So, there's an instructor. I host it. So basically, as everyone joins, you have, I do some welcome icebreaker things. So actually, I think was it human bingo, or I basically threw some questions out.
Human bingo.
And there's a poll. There's a poll in there, so you can be like, "How's everyone doing check-ins? Has anyone done this before? Et cetera, et cetera." Just kind of do a feel of the room, get a few people talking, and then I introduce the host, the co-host, which is the instructor, and then she walks us through some yoga, whether it starts off with some breathing, some meditation, to then do some sun salutations or whatever have you, all the different poses. And so you might not be in the same room, but because you can see everybody and everyone has to go on camera, so you can tell if someone's not doing it. So in a way, being on camera to do yoga or any kind of activity, there's no hiding, because in a real room, you could be in the back row and be hidden.
Yep.
And the teacher can't see you. Whereas, or, when you're in a room, if you're in the front row, you can't see the back row or the people beside you or around you. Whereas Zoom, you can see everyone. There's no hiding. So you can, in a way, kind of connect, because at the whole entire time, if I had my eyes on Paul, I could see Paul the whole entire time, right? How he's doing yoga, or that we're and then I would.
Or people are vibing with each other.
Because you can see everyone.
When you're doing that, when the ladies are doing the downward dogs, or do you see some dogs, looking up?
No, everyone's actually doing it, but it's really cool because sometimes, like I said, in a real room setting, someone can be lazy or hide in the back corner, whereas Zoom, you're
front and center.
You're front and center. Everyone is front and center technically, but it was cool. And then after I finish the activity, we do, again, I have some more questions to pose for people to talk. And sometimes I started coming up with 10-second highlights. I would just go and ask people a few questions and go around the room, because it was a small enough room when it was
How many people were there?
I think on the good days there was 10 people.
Oh, 10 people.
10 or 15. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, 10, 15, that's not even an event. But over Zoom, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's to start. Yeah.
To start. And then later on, it started being up to 20, 30 people.
Wow.
At the time.
On Zoom.
Took a while. Yeah, over Zoom.
Wow. So how are they do they then go into their own rooms? The different rooms?
The very first, like I said, when I started it, this was before Zoom even had breakout rooms. It wasn't even a function of Zoom yet when I first started. It was only not until I think near the end of the year, or during the second year, when they started having breakout rooms. So I was able to put people in rooms, and that's when I became the Zoom pro, right? I could actually assign certain people. If I wanted to put Paul and Amanda together in a room, I could do that.
Why do you have to say Amanda? She's the one that got away. Why you gotta say her?
I just made up that name. There was an Amanda that just came to my last event.
That was the same. That's the man I'm talking about.
I don't think it was.
Why'd you have to keep that in? What? Audience, if you find Amanda, tell her.
The one that
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That was not intentional at all.
Really? You said it twice now.
Okay. Relax. Don't be sensitive.
I'm not sensitive. I just like Amanda. Sorry. Amanda. I got flowers for you.
There's a lot of Amandas. Okay.
Well, Amanda K? I forgot her name.
Get back into it.
All right, get back into it. Amanda.
What were we saying?
What were we talking about?
Zoom. I don't know. What was your question?
What is Amanda like to eat?
Not even the same Amanda.
How many Amandas do you have?
There's a lot of Amandas.
Okay, stop talking about mandarins. Let's go back to the podcast. Okay, so when did you know this could be a thing? I could do this. Did you for the rest of my life, or for however long? When did you know this is okay? I got something here. And did they pay for these original Zoom events?
Yeah, so I started charging for it. So if I really needed to offer free, then I would. So at the beginning, yes, there were free tickets or very discounted tickets. And but honestly, even to this day, sometimes I'm like, can I really make a living out of this? So for the longest time, I was only doing this on the side. It was a side hustle business. I had a daytime job while I just did this on the side, because I was I'm not sure, are people going to be into this, especially during the time when it was still over Zoom. So I was always doing this on the side because I had my doubts and I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to risk it all to do it, especially at that time. Whatever I was charging, it was $5 or $10. I'm I can't make a living out of $5 or $10 here and there for 10 people, right? So but no, it definitely, as things snowballed and it picked up, right? I landed a CBC interview, right? And then
I saw that, yeah.
Flow 93.
Why'd you put that on the screen, by the way?
Flow 93, I was on Flow 93 radio, and then I started getting a lot more podcast requests or sort of invites, or other, whether it's vlogs, just all these different interview requests. I was on Toronto Guardian, all the different, wonderful media appearances, which was amazing. And that really helped solidify wow, you know what? I am doing something incredible, and I am doing something that is wanted. And I realized that my business is not only COVID, it's recession proof.
People are always gonna want to date.
People, there's no shortage of singles, no matter what city you are in. There's going to be singles.
No shortage of single dudes. That's for sure. That's for sure.
No, honestly, there's a lot of single women, right? So anyways, no shortage of singles. And when you're single and feeling isolated, it's human to want company, to want a partner, right? And so whether you want to get married or not, you want company. That's just human nature. And you're willing to spend money on finding love.
That's true. Because some guys are spending $250 on Bumble, on Hinge, and it's most likely the girl's not even going to meet them. They're just, you know what I mean? So spending a few, whatever your events are right now, I think what, $20, $30, depending on the tier. I think that's definitely worth it. And I went to one of her singles events, actually. They were honestly like, I had no idea what to expect.
I went to the dancing one.
I had no idea what to expect. And I'm like, well.
Wait, to the audience, okay? If you know anything about Paul, okay, he's a good looking man, right? He was like, I'm going to call you out. He's like, I don't need singles events. I do don't. Okay with, right? So I was like, I'm going to change this guy's mind. Like, you're going to have to try Toronto Dating Hub events. So I got you to come.
I did come.
Right, to the dating event, to the dancing event. And yes, how was it?
So I show up. I'm a little bit late because I was coming back. I was getting my hunter's license at that point, and I was I was zooming back from. Actually, no. So it was on Saturday. So Friday, I went all the way to Waterloo, did a whole test, and she's like, "Come out." I'm like, "Well, I don't know," but then you know what? I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna come. Why not?" And so I drove all the way down there. It's cold, and I walk in, and people are dancing bachata over there, and I don't even know bachata, but I do know salsa.
You do know salsa.
So I happened to convince some of these girls that I know what I'm doing. So I'm like, hey, strong frame, because no one knows what to do. Okay, you have to keep a frame and then just follow me.
Actually, a lot of a lot of the framework you learn in salsa do apply in bachata.
Yeah. And then she was like, and then I was fucking up, but I'm like, left foot. So I'm just like, but I'm just like, oh my God, you're so good. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm not that good. But yeah, I came, we were dancing. It was absolutely amazing. Everyone was having a good time. Andrea made sure that there was, first of all, the instructors were great. I love the instructors. A lot of high energy. They were they were throwing it back too a couple of times, which was kind of interesting. And so then we were going around and everyone had a chance to. There was rotations. Everyone had a chance.
And not weird ones. It's very natural.
It's very natural.
The way
She did it to the clockwise. So energetically, it was fine, So yeah, and it was very, very unique. It wasn't like, ooh, I can't or I don't. Everyone was there. Everyone was having a good time. And then, to my surprise, Andrea came out there and she did a dance. And I did not know Andrea's skill level at this, but I actually have a video. Watch out, maybe we'll throw it on. And I didn't know this hidden talent of yours over here. So
I did tell you I dance.
So those thousands of hours of Asian parents instructing you to do dance paid off. That's part of it. So she was dancing with your partner, whoever that was. I thought that was absolutely amazing. I thought it was brilliant. And then afterwards, it was great because it was at the fifth social. And people started coming in as like a normal event night type thing, but everyone was very fluid, everyone was very calm, and everyone was having a great time. So
we had that dance circle.
You got
in the middle of that circle.
I got in the middle of that circle. If you know me, I like attention. I'm an attention whore. So attention is the currency of the world. This is why I have this 3 cameras set up over here. But yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised, and I would definitely recommend it. I would recommend going again.
And it worked, but we won't tell why it worked.
It worked, but this is something we will keep to
our eyes and ears. Whatever happens in the club stays in the club.
Whatever happens in the club stays in the club. But let's just say that there was, let's just say that flint and steel connected and sparks flew.
See, so it works. Remember, he was like, I don't need this. I don't but you had fun. And actually, the sort of magic of the dating events, something that's really staple to my dating events compared to others. I don't just do bar speed dating. So when people think singles events, it's really synonymous of speed dating events.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought I'm gonna be like
at a bar sitting and then rotating.
Rotating and like, I thought that. Anyways,
and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's very classic, and there's nothing wrong with classics, obviously, right? It still works.
It's just boring.
And as I said earlier in my interview, right, I get bored very fast, and so I'm looking out for other people, and so there's no 2 months that are the same. I'm at different venues, different activities, right? Like you came to dance. I just did an improv one.
Oh yeah.
Right? I had a comedy night. I do jet skiing this summer. I'm always doing a different activity, right? I'm planning a Lunar New Year one coming up in February to celebrate Lunar New Year. So I'm doing different things because what I do know is that we as humans, we are going to connect faster and on a deeper level if we're doing some kind of activity, like an activity-based date.
So true.
And so, for example, the one you came to with dancing, so let's just say you don't know how to dance at all. So you are learning.
I do.
You are learning a new skill with somebody, and that vulnerability happens, right? Like the whole I have 2 left feet. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing either.
It's a little awkward.
It's a little awkward, but you do it together.
And
you fuck up together.
Yeah.
You oh, sorry, I stepped on your foot, or like, no, it's okay.
Oh,
like
I touched your butt.
That was Paul, not.
That wasn't me.
But you see what I mean? Like you are learning this thing together on this journey of like, we both don't really know how to dance, and we're learning this thing together. You screw up together, you laugh and you joke, you make fun of each other. So you're already kind of vulnerable around each other.
And I just want to add, it's brilliant because if, let's say, no one else was there, it's kind of awkward. But the fact that everyone else is there, and it's kind of like same boat, and it's a shared vulnerability, and it's like, oh, this is okay. He's fucking up. Look at Paul. He's even though he's attractive, he can move like a tango dancer, and he's still making mistakes. That's okay. That's okay for me.
So everyone's on the same level, same boat. And then on top of that, in this activity with dance, if you think about the people who are swiping away like endlessly on apps and never meeting these people, right? Like how long you have to swipe before you meet someone, and then
especially for girls, because girls like very, very selective. Well, not for me,
but in dance, like you're already holding hands, like immediately. You
break the touch barrier so quick, and that's the hardest barrier.
And not awkwardly. It's not like, when do I touch you, or when do I do this? It's like immediately, okay, grab your partner's hands, and then we're doing this, and no one's really thinking of it. You're like, obviously, it is awkward at first. But tell me what date would you usually be on if you were like a really introverted guy with no experience? Like, when would you meet that many girls in one night, and then get to touch their hands and dance this close together where your faces are like this? Pretty much never.
The most erotic thing that happened to me when I was like in grade 8 or grade 7 was like when you're at a movie date and just so happens like you move the leg, she moves the leg, and your legs touch.
What was erotic?
Whoa.
We're getting up close and personal here.
Even clothes on clothes, legs touch. But you get the hand
in a public place in front of everybody.
In a public place. And the thing is, like with dating apps, you don't get to sense people are attracted to energy. You don't really get to sense like who they are. But like when you're there, you see this dude or this girl's extremely relaxed. You relax. It's a whole different vibe, right?
Yeah. So that's a lot of what my events offer is some fun activity. So again, whether it's dancing, karaoke.
When's that? I'm there. I'm there.
Yes, karaoke brings out a lot of it's somewhere in the works. Okay, not next month yet, but it's definitely a really popular one. Usually, it's karaoke and board games. Those go together.
I'm a good singer.
Okay, perfect. So, but yeah, like that's what you can expect from Toronto Dating Hub events. Some fun activity so that if, let's say, for some odd reason, you really don't connect with anyone romantically, I guarantee you'll make new friends and you'll have fun doing that activity. That's the focus of that.
And you can tell your boys, I just danced with like 20 girls last night, no problem. It's like, what?
Okay, that's what Paul.
This guy's a key.
Very.
This guy's a G. This guy just danced with 20 girls. What's going on?
Don't teach my followers around.
This guy is a software engineer. This guy, and I'm his friend. I'm like, well, what's going on? I'm not seeing you with any girls. You dance with 20 in one night. Where is that? How can I come out and how can I be more comfortable?
Apparently, when people saw the post-event sizzle reel from that event, the non-singles were like, and again, there's many dance socials out there, but nothing that's catered to singles, right? So
Yep.
I had all these non-singles be like, what was that event? And that looks so much fun. And when is the next one? And I'm like, sorry, but you have to be single to come. I'm like, can I just pretend to be single? So I definitely get a lot of those kind of questions, which actually is how Event Hub started.
Oh,
Because there
what
were
a
so many
beautiful
people
transition.
saying, you have such fun events like the jet skiing. When I'm first in the world to do jet skiing.
What do you mean? Where is this?
Okay, so let's talk about jet ski so remember the movie Hitch with Will Smith,
The greatest movie of all time, yeah.
and one of their dates was jet skiing.
No, I don't remember that. But
Okay, well
there was.
he knocks her over, but so it's like, but they go jet skiing on their date, and someone, I can't remember who, I'm sorry, but if you're watching this, thank you. I remember someone was like, you should do jet skiing, and I'm like, because everyone who learns they're like, a dating coach, what's that? And then when I explained, they're like, you're like the modern day Hitch.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah. And they're like, you should do jet skiing. And then I was like, you're right, I can do jet skiing. So a lot of my business is focused around supporting other businesses. And if you think about my business was a COVID baby business. Remember when all the restaurants and bars were closed and shut down, and they were trying to do takeout to just survive, and many good restaurants and bars closed down, unfortunately. So it was part of me also giving back and saying, you know what if I could bring you people? What if I can bring you people that either don't know about your bar or restaurant, and on your slow day, like bring you 20, 30, 40, 50, like people where you didn't have to do the marketing, you didn't have to do anything, and I'll just bring you to. So it's a win-win, right? You're slow needing patrons, I'm bringing you those people, and I get to sell the tickets for that. Like, it's a win-win. So that's kind of how the jet ski idea came, where I'm like, I'm gonna look for a local jet ski business and work a deal with them so I can bring 10 to 20 folks into jet ski. And my first event, it was we had jet skis, we had paddle boards, and kayaks, because there's just not enough jet skis for everyone. So it was really cool. Imagine rotating. Some people go on jet skis, some people are on kayaks, and some people are on paddle boards. And if you know each of these water sports, they can fit 2 people on each thing, right? 2 people on kayaks, 2 people on paddle boards. Paddle boards, that's quite interesting, because usually you think about paddle boards on your own, so you can either go together on one or separately, but we're rotating in the water, which is pretty amazing. And again, just like the dancing thing, when you're going on a jet ski, for example, what usually happens, like, you decide who is the operator and who sits in the back. You have to get on the jet ski together to not like capsize and turn it over. So you're coordinating. Hey, let me help you, or like take my hand and like let me help you get on, or like whoever sits in the front, it's like, okay, well, do you want to hold my waist, or are you gonna hold like the sides? And normally you usually hold the person, because
You're holding the waist.
You're holding the person,
holding
right? It's just like the motorcycles, like, so you're holding the person, so physical touch all throughout that whole time.
You're building a bond.
So what I found out,
and if you're going fast,
yeah,
adrenaline.
So
is there
you can't go over 18. Is it kilometers or miles? But you can't go over 18, because that's when you can't hear the person anymore. I tested it. I think it was like 18 was the number, and then it's like if you go too fast, you can't hear, and so you're like whispering in their ear to talk, right? So like these are like intimate, close moments together, right? And then kayaks and paddleboard, same thing, because you got to balance together.
And something you probably didn't think of is when you're...
There's nothing I don't think of.
When you're speeding on the jet ski...
Speed dating?
No, when you're on the jet ski, you're going fast. You're just creating a lot of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that adrenaline can be mistaked as
passion and love.
Passion and love.
Yeah, yeah.
So...
I thought you were talking about the pun about speed dating. That's
no. I'm not that corny.
Okay, but yeah. So I'm the first in the world to do jet ski speed dating.
In the world. Wow.
Well, when I googled it, like, I was the only one, so I'm sticking with
it. First in the world. Okay.
First in the world. Back, was it 2.5 years ago? But no, it was awesome. So that sort of culminated how I was always doing something so different for singles. And jet skiing is like, sometimes it's on people's bucket list. So
yeah,
you are doing a lot of things that you normally wouldn't be doing. And a lot of times when you're dating someone, half the time these people aren't even coming up with these amazing date ideas.
Oh, for sure.
So you're you are getting all the action, all the cool things when you're coming out to Toronto Dating Hub events, which is why I think so many people really, really love my events for that reason. Because they're like, oh, I've never seen this bar. I've never seen this venue. I haven't done this activity. And you get to meet new friends and potentially meet have a romantic connection. It's like check, 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 check. These are all really wonderful things and for a really great price. So I think, what I'm offering to singles is really awesome. And that feeds back to, I really love what I do. And when you love what you do, you'll just continue doing great things. So it just feeds itself, which is amazing.
That's great. And I would love to hear, do you want to share some success stories?
Yeah, absolutely. So the most recent one, which is it comes full circle, because that's a huge question that people ask about success rate. So one thing I do want to say, I used to get bummed because, when I'm just 3 years old business. If you think about it, how long does it take for you to date someone, become girlfriend, boyfriend these days, and then take it to the next level? It takes a while. For a 3-year-old business, or back when I was in the first year, do you have success stories? I'm like, when I think back to it, I was just like, it takes a while for people to actually go that level. So at first I was really embarrassed when I didn't really have those stories. But then I'm like, you know what? It takes a while for people to, really I don't say hook up, get together, become girlfriend, boyfriend, and then marriage doesn't happen right away. So for a 3-year-old business, no, I don't have that.
And is that the end goal, marriage?
Well, what I want to point out when people ask about success stories, and unfortunately when the Match and Bumble out there that share their success story, it is always about marriages.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right? But they've been around for a while. So I want to change people's perspective. When they think success stories, it really is up to the individual of what, like you said, is that the end goal, marriage? For some people, for some singles, it's, I just want to meet and make new friends because they're new to the city, or just there's so many people that are new to dating. If you think about 40-year-old virgin, the movie,
yeah,
I have a lot of those, whether they're 30, 40, whatever, they just started dating. They just started dating in their 30s or 40s because they've been focused on their career. So for some singles, a success story is getting out of the house. For some people, it's making new friends. For some people, it's finally dating, getting a date for the first time. For some people, you know what I mean? Success stories aren't just about marriages. And these days, people don't even want to get married.
That's true.
So I'd love to change people's question, or the KPI for dating. It's not always marriage.
KPI, such a marketing speaker there.
But you know what I mean? Our success stories should go beyond just evaluating, for example, if you're evaluating whether I'm a successful dating coach or if my events are successful, it's not just about our people getting married.
That's true.
But on that note, 2 weeks ago, my very first couple got married. And thank you. And they just actually met this last summer.
Wow.
And one of them was actually my photographer.
That's amazing.
And that's actually twice now. So I lost my photographer because now he was busy dating and then now married. So he's busier. So I lost my photographer. I gained a new photographer. Next thing you know, 2 events later, he's now has a girlfriend from my event.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, if you're out there and you're a photographer and you're single, apparently you should work. You should
go to her. Yep. You'll find love.
And you'll find love. So, but yeah. And I think another last Halloween, what ended up happening is the bartender started dating one of the guests.
Oh my God.
Right? Because I went back to eat or get takeout and I happened to see her and she was like, oh my God, my colleague, she's now dating the person that came to the Halloween event, the pilot guy, because they were wearing costumes. And I was like, no way. So sometimes there might be even more success stories. I just don't know about it.
And then eventually I can see because I'm thinking from a business perspective, fuck, these singles, they're getting married. They're not going to come to my events anymore. But then you're like, wait a second. Now you host couples events.
And I do events. Yeah.
Oh, you do couples events?
Well, I do my game nights.
That's true.
Couples can come out. But like I said, a lot of people do ask, I want to come to your event because they're so fun, but I'm not single anymore. Can I just pretend or can I just bring, but that's how fun the events are, that even the non-singles want to come out. But
they are fun.
When I start having these success stories, yes, I lose the client, but I do game nights. I do other events. They could be business owners, so they'll come back.
And they're the best referrals.
The best referrals because it's look where I met. Because usually if everyone usually has at least a few single friends in their circle, so they're definitely great referrals. And actually, one of the things I'm working on, you heard it here because I need to have accountable people keeping me accountable, but I'm gonna work on being an officiant.
What's that?
Officiant are the people who officiate the weddings. So usually the person. So if
Oh,
you're
that's so
religious,
funny because I'm working on becoming a pastor to marry people. So maybe
Really?
maybe we could have.
are you really?
I'm gonna
So
get
you're gonna be my competitor? No, I'm kidding.
I'm a pastor. I'll marry them off, and you officiate it.
So officiants they can do the non-religious weddings.
Oh, okay.
Because there's people who aren't religious.
Well, I don't have to be religious. I just get the
But
collar.
officiants can also do funerals, other celebrations, rites of passages. So I thought being in the field that I am, like imagine when I get more people getting married.
You're just going full circle. Marriage.
Exactly.
Then you're going to be at Andrea's daycare, then Andrea's funeral. And it's just like a
They're
full
gonna
circle of
have
relationships.
kids, and they're gonna grow up, and then they're gonna be single, and then they're gonna be like, "Well, what should I do?"
What do I
And
do?
I'll be
Gotta
like,
do-
"Look, we met through her, so you should
You
definitely
should go there.
do that."
Oh, and I have a
You need
business.
coaching. You need coaching for dating. Like I'm here.
Now I have a business event. Where do I go to meet
Oh, here,
meets for there?
here we go. Oh, you like games? Come here. It is a full thing.
And then you need to die.
You need-
Well,
you need-
Andrea's funeral.
But yes, I can do it all. It's great.
That's awesome. So for some of the singles out there, some of the things are probably like, well, it's embarrassing. I don't know what to do. So what are some of the key hurdles you find people are making even prior to even coming out? And what do you think of some good ways would be to overcome them? Or what are some initial pieces of advice you would give as Andrea, the dating coach?
Sorry, what do people usually struggle with? Is that the first question?
Sure. Let's ask. Sure. Let's ask. Okay, I'm a 40-year-old virgin. Would never happen. Come on. Kidding.
Okay, stop. It's very normal. Okay, let's normalize that.
It is normal.
Don't make fun of them.
For non-Ukrainians.
Stop.
It's not normal. But no, I have 0 40-year-old virgin friends, but I'm also not 40. So tell us, what's it like for these 40-year-olds? Okay, why'd you don't cut that, but don't cut it. So okay, so let's say
Let's normalize.
it's normal.
Okay,
It's
so let's
also
normalize
I also
that.
it's not their fault. It's not their fault because like some people don't have good role models. Some people, like you said, they're focused on their career, and so sometimes that does go by the wayside, especially because our society is more towards like you need a job, you need to work hard, and I think a lot of men, which is kind of ties into your point, they think that there's some very false beliefs where it's like, well, when I'm successful, I'll get the girl, or like when I'm good looking, I'll get the girl, or when I'm successful, I'll get the girl, or I'll do this, I'll get the girl. So maybe it's good to start with like just to break down some of those beliefs. Like, what does a girl look for, first of all? Because I think even from my own perspective, when I was going through this thing, that's kind of like the questions that are running through the guy's mind. Like, I need to get jacked because girls like getting jacked. You know what I mean? So what are some of the things that women do look for in a guy?
First of all, the first thing that popped into my head because earlier we were talking about IG, but I know on IG the wording that they use is like, I want to be treated like a queen.
Okay.
But all jokes aside, women are looking for stability and security. And whether that means financially, emotionally, but someone who is emotionally mature and stable, in touch with their feelings.
Is this who you're looking for, or is this who women are looking? Because I have a different experience.
Well, I think I speak for a lot of women who, again, I want to be careful because when we start breaking down what men and women, because
Okay, in your opinion, from your general opinion, from the sample size of small people that you have,
Yeah.
do not quote her on this.
yeah, I still stand by what I'm saying.
Okay, okay.
They're looking for stability and security, that emotional maturity, because those are really important things to have. Especially if you're looking for a serious long-term relationship, those are key to a long-term secure relationship. Someone who's emotionally secure with themselves.
And what does that look like?
So, do you know your attachment styles? So there's anxious, avoidant, and then secure type. There's the ones in between, but those are the three like main ones. So when someone's anxious, that's usually comes across as someone who's like needy, clingy. So they get anxious. It's like, where are you going? What are you doing? How come you haven't messaged me? That's more anxious type. And avoidant is like when someone gets closer, like, yeah, I gotta do something else. Like when someone gets closer, like I'm gonna bounce now because you're getting way too close to me, and I don't feel comfortable when someone's like in my space and
Oh, like physically or emotionally?
physically and emotionally.
Okay, that's me then.
That's avoided. And then secure is usually like have fun with your girls. And then you don't need to know where I'm going. Yeah, go out with your friends. Like, I'm good. Like, call me when you like you're back. Like, a secure type doesn't. They're neither like clingy or avoidant, right? They're secure with themselves.
But so I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. So like, I agree that like, for example, if I know my girlfriend's friends and they're good girls and they all have like husbands or a boyfriend at the time, I'm like, okay, sure. But but like, a bad egg spoils the bunch. So if I'm
Wow.
no, but seriously, listen, if I have a girlfriend and I see all her friends are single, they're going to the club all the time, and like I know why you're there, you know what I mean? So is there a difference between that? Because then I wouldn't say that's insecure of me. I would say like, hey, it just so you're like, because you do get influenced by the people around you, and sure, like I understand that most likely nothing's gonna happen. However, you are in an environment that is like you're drinking. First of all, you're with your friends are doing things, and like when people start to talk, groupthink kind of takes over, and maybe mistakes could happen. So do you think like is that an insecure, or do you think it also comes from the woman's side? It's like, hey, I understand, but and maybe like they'll choose better friends. Do you see what I'm saying here?
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start. I think it's a combination of both. There's a little bit of an insecurity on your part because it really depends at the end of the day. Because
I don't think I think it's territorialism.
Whatever you want to call it. There's a challenge there, but I think
if I'm seeing her friends banging other dudes, no, cut that out. If I'm seeing her friends like clearly,
it sounds like that group of friends is bad, but not everyone.
That's what I mean.
I've been there where I am the single friend of the group.
Yeah.
Right. And so as much as I'm looking for somebody, I'm hanging out with a good group of girls that their partner doesn't have to worry that they're doing anything bad, and I'm not doing anything crazy. Like I think it just depends on who you were dating at the time and what their friends were like.
And I guess it's also more of a reflection of you too. It's like, okay, well, why are you with this person that has these kind of, you know what I mean? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. There's lots to unpack there.
Yes.
So what was your question?
So my question was, okay, so we're talking about secure.
Like what women are looking for?
Yeah, what women are looking for.
So let me answer it this way. The reason why one of my newest event formats is called Singles Mixer for Professionals actually stems from two things that I learned. So again, a lot of the things I do in my business are from learning and talking to the singles that come out. So this insight came from two sort of insights and comments. One was because you come to the business networking mixers. So inherently in all the events that I do, even for the non-single, so game nights, business networking mixers, there obviously are singles that come out. And so they told me, they're like, these networking mixers are so great. Like I meet a lot of people. There's really great people, but I never know which one's actually single. And then because it's a business networking mixer, I feel awkward to hit on them or talk about because it's a networking professional mixer.
Yes.
So it's kind of inappropriate. And I heard this from guys and girls.
This is true.
Right? So it's like you're at this business thing, and then sometimes when you're talking, you're going to be like, so like, are you single? Like it's kind of awkward, right? So, but they love the networking aspect, and there's really great high caliber people that come out to my events. You can usually tell though. No? Okay, let's not get into that, but
you can tell.
Yes or no?
But I meant, well, okay, like here's my thing. If she mentions in the first 5 minutes she's a boyfriend, she's a boyfriend. If she doesn't, she's single.
But I don't know why they would have to say that usually.
Because they'll probably say, okay, this guy's hitting on me.
But then that's a you problem. What were you doing that she said that?
No.
Okay, let's cut that out. Let's
not keep that
in there. Okay, so hold on. That was the one insight. And the second thing came from the singles side, where the women were saying things like, your events are really great. Just the quality of people. Like, is it so hard to find a guy who's got a great job, who like is more independent, who has some more experience, and just like on my level? Those are the kind of words I were using.
Oh, I kind of see.
So then I took those two insights, right? Of like, okay, so at my business networking events, there's higher caliber people, because these are like, as you know, my networking mixers are specifically for business owners and entrepreneurs. It's not just a normal networking event where, and why is it high caliber? Because you don't have the students coming out or the people who are just looking for jobs, right? Or like a lot of realtors out there looking for business. So it's high caliber stuff. So they really like the high quality of that, but they're like, but I don't know who's single, and I just want to feel more comfortable being able to talk to those singles. So I took that insight, and then with the women saying like, I just want a man who, I'm just looking for this, and men were saying that too, like, I just want women who are actually looking to date. And like, so I was hearing some feedback, and I said, what if I brought these two together? And that's why the newest format, which it is flying off the shelves, like, and I'll give you a hint, the one I'm doing this Friday, I did not put it on my Instagram feed. It has sold the most tickets without me promoting it. So I did one story post way back to be like, should I do an event here and do this? And that just the women's tickets sold out first. So that's how I know it's really gaining traction, when the women's tickets sell out first.
Because that's what you want, like, ideally.
More women, like, so you usually have to like convince women and make like they buy last minute. And these ones, like the women tickets fly off the shelves. So basically, there's a set of criteria. You have to self-identify and not lie, but basically you have to have 3 of the 6 criteria, and that included you live on your own. So I didn't say you have to own it. I said you live on your own. So you're not on your parents.
Do I qualify then?
You
I
don't
live on my own. What do you mean? I live
you
on my
live
own?
on your own, but I said you can't have roommates. You can't have roommates.
But I have my own place downstairs.
It's not about you right now, Paul, but just you live on your own. So I didn't say you have to own it, but live on your own. So no roommates.
I just want to know if I can come.
Okay. You said 3 out of 6. So as long as you have some of the other ones. Okay. So live on your own. You have a great job that basically, as long as you're not like stuck in the job, you know how some people are like, I'm just working this 9 to 5 and I don't really love what I do. You wouldn't qualify. Or you have at least 5+ years of experience in that field. So let's say you are an accountant, like you've been doing it for 5+ years, you're a CA, like that counts. So there's that. You have a university or college degree. So I don't care what kind of degree, as long as you have at least one degree. And one of them was if you happen to be a business owner. And the last one was if you won any awards or been in any publications recently. Just to give it some, and again, some of this was, I came up with it, but I did poll, a handful of people to ensure, like, is this right? Is this too much? And I said 3 out of the 6. So it's not like you had to have all of them. But lo and behold, a lot of people have at least 5 to 6 of their criteria. So some really high caliber people. And again, I'm not judging them on how good you look. It wasn't about your looks. It was just if you had those criteria. So that when you're in the room full of these people, you're around like-minded people and people on the same sort of level and maybe same life stage as you.
That makes so much more sense.
Which is like, when you're talking about swiping away and wasting time, you already know the people in your room are at the level that you want them to be and feel a little more comfortable getting to know these people.
Yeah.
That is my newest event format, which came out of the insights that people gave me. So that is building on what people want.
So was it more of the woman asking for this or the men?
Men are pretty simple in terms of they're not as picky as women, to be honest. So I was answering the women, but at the same time, it's only going to benefit the men.
100%. So, okay, back to like how to specifically, like, what are some tips? So I'm thinking the hardest part, I would say, for a man to meet a woman is like that dance you have to play in the beginning. What I mean is, like, a man could be emotionally secure, he could be all this, but like, there's like a few boxes you have to tick off as you're talking to each other. Okay, he's not a creep. Okay, he's, like, he's funny. He's all this. So, like, how do you go like, what are you doing in the initial approach? Like, what are some tips for the initial approach? Is this either something to think about or something to keep at the back of your mind that would help? I think primarily men, because women, I don't think have a problem with approaching people because they don't approach.
Are you talking about like an actual physical approach, like
at
a club or
let's say like at one of your events, right? Because maybe they're like, okay, well, I'm going to this event, but could be a little awkward still,
Yeah. So, by the way, I do offer what I call it's the pre-event prep session. So it's a half-hour session where we can talk about this. So some tips that I would give people if they were coming to an event. One of the things I cover. So one of the services is a pre-event prep session, so 30 minutes. Usually I get people to book this right before they come to an event. So what we cover are things, for example, what are you wearing? Because some people don't wear the most flattering outfits. first impression is very important. So it starts with what are you going to wear, or how do you usually style your hair. So I kind of cover like if they're wearing the appropriate outfit. I will say women always dress up a little more than men in general. Men tend to be very casual, and so if it happens to be a male, for example, I just get them to maybe dress up a little bit more. And if they don't have that outfit, maybe go shopping for that thing. But first impressions are really important. We also cover, for example, like what is your 30-second intro? And usually a lot of them go like, what? And it's usually like, hi, I'm Andrea. I'm an accountant. I like to play sports. I live in Scarborough. It's like god awful, like, right? And so I catch that because I'm like, well, if you're in front of a girl or if you're in front of the opposite sex and you're trying to introduce yourself and that's what happens, what is the likelihood that you're going to catch their attention and that they're going to want to continue having this conversation? So having a better 30-second intro. So I'll give an example. Hey, I'm Andrea. I love to dance. I live in Toronto. I love living downtown because I love having action all around me. And I'm a foodie. I love checking out new restaurants, which, by the way, what's your favorite? What is hands down the best place for tacos?
Hey, I'm Paul. I'm a garbage man.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, tacos. That's a good one. So you ask a question.
So you can. So I'm just saying how mine isn't just about like what I do for work and where exactly I live. Like it's like sometimes people just come up with points that are just, I'm just firing off things that come to my head and but it just has no relevance to that point. And you want to say things and even the topics and questions you have, is that even interesting? And is there like a follow-up? Like, can someone answer that? It's just like when we're building our dating profiles. Yeah, okay, cool. Put a picture of you and a fish. Like, what is that doing? Right? Like, is that interesting? Was that telling something about you? So you just want to make sure you're being interesting and you're being fun in that. And so I basically teach people about how to better communicate, how to show off some confidence, how to not be boring.
I find that like it usually doesn't matter so much what you say but it's how you say it. Would you think that's more important? Because I usually ask them like, hey, let's get married, let's have 5 kids right now, and I lead them to the bar, and that's funny, you know.
What works for you might necessarily not work for everyone, right?
That's true. That's true. So, walk us through like when you're taking on a new dating client, for example. Walk us through like what do you do like an inventory of them as a person first? Do you help them build stories? Like, I don't know what specifically.
What is dating coaching?
Are you like Mystery? That guy was gushing over Mystery. I want you on the podcast. I messaged you. Please message me back.
So what happened? So actually, let me take a step and just walk you through some of the services I have, because a lot of people book the 15-minute, your first consultation is free, the first 15 minutes. So in that, we usually go over like, what are you currently struggling with? And from there, I can basically assess and kind of guide them on, I think these services would help you based on what you're struggling with. So for example, if someone says, oh, I'm not getting matches, I'm like, my online dating experience is horrible because XYZ. And then I'm like, let me take a look at your profile. So one of the most popular services in the basic starter package is the online profile, dating profile assessment or makeover. So basically you send me the screenshots beforehand, and then by the time we get to a session, I tell you what's working, what's not working, and then how to fix it, like actually give you tips. So it's not just like what's good, okay, that's it. No, we go over like, this picture is making you look like this, or this is a bad picture because of this. Do you have this kind of picture instead? And so I get to know who you are. So for example, one of the common mistakes, let's say you're like, I really like cooking. Or in words, they say all this stuff about themselves. And then I'm like, well, where's the picture that matches that? So the pictures and the words aren't correlating.
And guys, don't take pictures like this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please.
What is that? What are you seeing?
It's like no open mouth pictures. Like, you know, there's a group of people, like 10 people, like, just look, just don't do that. You're like, it's so good.
But yeah, so ensuring your pictures and your words match and they correlate. So
That makes much more sense.
if you're
Actually.
talking like I do skydiving and do this, well, where's the skydiving?
And what are girls are looking for in the profile specifically? Like, because I don't think they look at every picture. They're probably like scanning. Oh, okay, I'll reply. Or what do you think?
No, we look at everything.
You look at all the pictures.
We might do it really quickly.
Even the date posted and all this kind of. No, you don't do that.
No, we want to make sure are there words in the profile. So some people get really lazy and just put pictures.
Which profile we're talking about here?
A dating profile, like are they putting words? Like are there
Oh,
words?
okay, so it's not Instagram's Tinder.
It's not just like yeah,
like
we're
eHarmony.
talking no, we're talking dating profiles where there's actually words and prompts because someone who's we deem it as very lazy if we just see pictures and no words. Like there's no prompts, no words because they
But, like,
didn't fill
sweet,
in.
What about like sweet abs, like oiled up?
Again, there's something for everyone. So I'm not saying no girls like that. I'm just saying if you're looking more for that long-term serious relationship or quality girls, they usually want the whole package as in you're not that lazy there, you didn't even use words, and are you I'm not saying making full sentence, like are you making sense in your profile?
Yep.
Right? Like
is this cohesive?
cohesive? Are there spelling errors?
And
Is
like,
it grammatical like making sense here?
do you
And
own
nothing
it? Do you own yourself? You know?
and also some people get political in their profile or
Yikes.
or just some very controversial things. And I get it. Sometimes you want to be honest and you want to share your thoughts, but there are some things like there's some just like how there are some topics you just don't broach on the first date.
And
Politics, religion are part of that, right?
Wajahad,
It's like-
throw this up on the screen. Throw this up on the screen. And I have to know. Hunting photos
like
with the animal.
like
Well-
the dead animal, like
With no, the animal's there, full camo, rifle on the back. Hot or not?
again, it depends on the girl.
No.
But usually not.
No, usually not. Usually not. So, what are some basic tips?
In terms of because there's a lot. Because like
Let's
so
give
like I
some
said,
basic tips that, and if you guys are interested, we'll put a link so you can apply for her for.
well, okay, so basic tips about dating profiles, like I said, right? Ensure your photos and the words match and correlate, right? Sound like an interesting person, right? Like if you go up to like do the friend check, right? Like go to a few friends, opposite sex friends, and say like, would is my profile like would this interest you? Would I look like someone that you'd want to swipe right on, right? Because even if your friends are like no, like. And they know you, right? So, and is this an accurate reflection of who I am?
I would also say ask your mother because she will not lie to you.
But depending on your mom and your relationship, she might be like, everything is great from you.
Well, maybe I have a very unique mom. Love you, mom.
So
she points me in the right direction all the time.
things like no gym selfies, sure, no hunting.
No
photos.
gym selfies, really,
Well, the ones that you're showing your abs, no.
really.
Here's my thing: if you want to show off that,
Oh, it has to be like in the lake, like someone else took it. You're not taking it yourself.
yes, because it really, yeah, this is
Because it
not
looks
a good.
egotistical. Got it.
Exactly. Like
Note to self.
I know guys take photos to track their progress. Yeah, but not for a dating profile.
That's so funny you say that because I used to date this girl. She was like a molecular biologist. She like, grew hearts in labs, weirdly enough. And she was just laughing at my picture because like it was so gym self. It was funny.
This was the Paul show.
This was bad.
So anyways, those are some tips. Don't wear sunglasses in your photos. So anyways, those free tips for you guys. So yeah, if this was
Why no sunglasses?
we need to see your eyes because
So it's
eyes are
not
what
a-
builds trust.
Oh, so it's not a lazy eye.
Well, that in general, but like people want to see your eyes.
Got
It's a trust thing, but also a lot of times some people don't like. You might think they look a certain way, but as soon as they take off their sunglasses, you're like, whoa, that's not right. There's no clear photo, and then the only other photo is like you with sunglasses. It's like, what are they hiding? Just like how when people wear hats, like in every photo, it's like, are you bald under there? Are you like, and that's fine. So I rather you just own it, right? It's like, so there are ways to
Group photos. Yes or no? Yay or nay?
you can when there's a reason for it. So if it's to show you have friends, usually sure, but it has to be in the context of, let's say, maybe at a wedding, like something where you're showing off. Like, is it because you traveled somewhere and there's like a story behind it that's really like awesome? That's again a good reflection of your character. So maybe it's like, let's say it's your best friend's wedding. And it's you and your best friend. Okay, that makes sense. It's your best friend getting married and was one of those really great moments that you want to capture and it's your best friend. So it makes sense that you put that photo, right? But if it's you as a guy, let's say trying to show off that you're at a club with these hotties because you're trying to prove that you have girls around you. Trust me, women are not going to like this photo. And the ones who like it are probably not the one that you want to date.
That's true. That makes sense.
Right? So those are the tips in terms of online dating profile tips. But I have other services like mock dates, wing women, one-on-one coaching.
Wing woman.
You want to talk about that one?
That's the one that catches my eye. What does this entail?
Yeah. So it kind of compares. So one-on-one coaching is more like it can be virtual or in person, but it's like one-on-one. We are talking about hypothetical situations. So let's say I have a date and I don't know what to do and we're going to do this, or I went on this date and it went horribly because XYZ. We're talking about it. It's either hypothetical or it's in the past and we're talking about things. A wing woman session would be, let's say you pick a social setting, or whether it's a house party, a game night, something, not one of my events because it's hard to do that while I'm working, but we go in and I would.
And does he have an earpiece? No. And you have an earpiece?
No, but I'm right beside them, as in people will just think I'm your friend. Female friend, and it's live coaching. So I could be like, all right, Paul, who catches your eye? Who would you like to talk to? And we might talk about a strategy or maybe for the very first one, I'm like, I'm just going to watch you. I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do. I just want to see what you would do. We go watch and learn. And then I'm like, okay, how did that go? And whatever happens, it's like, okay, so what I saw or what I could hear was like, this is this. And we're like, I would tell them. So instead of a hypothetical, because to be honest, a lot of my clients can't remember details. And when you can't remember details, it's very hard to help you because like, I don't remember what I said. And I think this is what happened, but I'm not sure. It's very hard to help you, right? So here, I can at least see and hear it for the most part. And let's say I could see you struggling. I can actually jump in as your wing woman, right? And other examples would be like, oh my God, Paul, you need, not Amanda.
Got it.
Right? It'd be like, oh my God, Paul, tell them that story when we went camping and you tell them that funny story. Or it's like, have you met my friend Paul? He's a really good bartender. Like he can make you a really awesome drink.
It'd be my line. If I see you there, I'd go up to the girl. I'd be like, listen, don't look. But there's this one girl watching me, stalking me from over there. Like, can you please just pretend that we're good? And it's like, you leave.
You're all such a troublemaker. But yeah, so wing woman is that. It's like having a friend in your corner that's going to help you and one who actually knows how to wing woman.
And it's like the best. Like there's no better wing man than a wing woman.
Exactly. And I'm quite the social butterfly. I know how to carry a conversation. I can walk up to anybody. And so I'm the best person to work with that and having me in your corner. And so really kind of guiding you, giving you the assistance where you need. And if it goes well and I put you up with a person and you're having a great time, I just exit that conversation, right? So let you kind of do your thing. And if you ever need saving, you also have me. So if you ever get super nervous or maybe like the anxiety kicks in and you're like, I can't do this. So
you give a signal? There's a
signal? Yeah, we can work on the signals, whether it's
a signal.
Scratching your nose or something else. Wee. But then, you have me to help you. So wing women's a quite cool service, as well as mock dates. Mock dates is usually when it's good for people who are like, I have no problem getting first dates, but for some reason they're not turning into the second, third, or fourth date.
Yep.
And consistently seeing that.
So you're probably
getting the first
saying
dates.
Dumb things.
It could be, right? But it could be other things. I always make this joke when I explain it to people. I'm like, what if you have BO?
True.
Or bad breath or whatever it is. Something that most people don't feel comfortable ever telling you. And, as a coach, I've definitely had to have some pretty tough conversations.
About BO? About
whatever it is. Whatever, in general, just certain things that, on the receiving end, it might be hard for you to hear. Maybe you never realized it. But how insightful would it be if you finally figured out, oh, I never knew I had that thing, or I never knew I was doing that, right? I'll give you an example. One client, when he gets nervous, he didn't know he rocks like this. He's just like, I didn't know. And then because we were on camera, Zoom, I recorded it and I showed it to him because he just had no idea. And he was like, oh my gosh. And I think I do this at work. Like, no wonder people look at me funny.
Makes sense.
And then we kind of sort of figure out like when it happens. So certain scenarios, certain situations trigger that.
Like the anxiety. Yeah,
Anxiety,
yeah.
it's because it manifests differently for different people. Some people, its palms are really sweaty, so they would never want to shake someone's hand, right? Some people, it's like, like the armpit stains, right, from the sweat. It could be so many different things. Some people sweat, it's all over and they're drenched, and it's like, whoa, like what happened? There's AC everywhere, and it can be very embarrassing for people. So by finally being aware of what might be the issue, what might be the real issue of what's causing it, and it's also really, maybe as much as it's hard to hear, but at least they know, oh my gosh, it's just something I can actually fix. That was a physical thing or something that can fix. And it wasn't something like, oh, because some people usually think it's personality or something very internal, that they're like, oh, no one's going to like me, or I must be a bad person. And it's like, actually, no, it's just maybe those things. And those are fixable things.
It sounds like you're like half a dating coach, half a therapist. Because you're like, okay, what are your beliefs around women? Why do you think you're this? Why you're doing all these unconscious things that are preventing you from, and tell me if this is true. I find that like most often than not, it's not the girl that rejects the guy. It's the guy that rejects himself first, but the girl picks up on it and then later rejects him.
Right, because like you're not confident with yourself.
You're not confident with yourself, and she's like, "Oh, okay."
And that's not attractive, right? Why would I want to date someone who's not attractive, who doesn't think of himself? Like, so again, that's one of the scenarios. Sometimes it is actually, it's the female that has the issue, that because no one's ever good enough for them, and that's another issue, right? So I do find my observation is that for men, the issue is more exterior things. For women, it's more internal.
That's so interesting. Because I guess because you're so right. Because guys, like, they don't really know how to position their bodies potentially correctly. Like, in terms
they don't
of
know what
language.
to say. They don't know what to wear. They don't like. There's a lot of them just like they don't know, and those are very easy to fix.
Oh, and women are like, I maybe have too high
all
standards
in my head, right? Like, like I don't like this man because there's just a lot of internal
like
psychological
craziest reasons that you'd probably heard of, like, oh, his shoe was not polished,
like he's not tall enough, and I'm like, you're 5'2". Why do you need to date someone who's 6 feet tall?
Yeah, what is this thing with height? What is it about it?
Sure, I mean, for someone, I don't know if it's like the taller they are means down there, maybe it could be that, but just in general, sometimes we don't even know that societal norms and the pressure of like certain expectations have seeped into our brains, into our preferences. And that's why I've called out people who are like, you are 5'2", 5 feet, like, and why do you need to date someone who's 6 feet tall when physically it's actually very awkward for you to kiss them, or the height difference.
Yep.
And so when they answer, I'm like, why do you need to? They don't know how to answer me. They actually don't know. They're just like, I just like that. And it's like, that's not actually a reason. Right? So a lot of times there's been, whether movies have done it for us or social media, but there's just these unrealistic expectations that they actually don't even know where it came from.
Well, I think a lot of it too is like the marketplace for, say, dating is a lot skewed now, because before, like, you have the guys in your hometown and that's basically who you're stuck with. You know what I mean? So it's like the expectations are much more realistic, but now, on Instagram, women are seeing, look at all these successful men. There's so many more. And like, because they're looking at these people, the algorithm shows them more and more of these kind of guys. Like, oh, every guy's like that. This must be so common. And it's like, obviously this is it, but not realizing that that's such a small substrate of men, like the 0.01% of men. And then that's why these 0.01% of men end up with all the women and all the other guys get nothing, because of like this like skewed perception tailored by the algorithm of what women think or don't think they want. Because obviously taller guys, fit guys are attractive, right? But because everyone is seeing them, the attention is really disproportionately skewed. Yeah.
Or they're thinking that, if she can have him and I'm like her, like there must be tons of them available, or that must be the norm. And then,
but they don't see the back end of that relationship or what's really happening.
Yeah. And they tend to put all the best moments out there when really that might be not the real thing. So you do definitely have to be careful of what you're watching and looking at online, because it could be definitely very skewed. So that's why, again, being in touch with your own feelings and reflecting is really important. So, and again, one of the exercises is going over what are their values and what are they actually looking for, Because I think that's really important, because a lot of times people go into dating without even knowing that.
Yeah.
They're just like, I want to date because I want a partner because I'm told that that's what I should be working on. And then, but they actually go into it blindly without actually knowing what they actually want. Right? So that's also really important. So when you actually reflect on your values and what you're truly looking for and then go into dating, it's very different.
You know what? This is so true, because if you don't actively choose, or you don't know what your values are, you always have a set of values. You just may not be aware of them, and so you may attract people that are of similar values. Like, and then your values are reflected back to you, and then you're like, I don't like this person, but what you're really saying is you don't like you, because they're in reality though, right? Because you're unconscious of your values. You see this value in another person, which you have, which is why but you may not agree with it. So it's like a reflection, which is very interesting to say. I think we've talked a lot enough about dating. I'm sure I've learned a lot. I have learned a lot. Do you still have some time? Are we good for another 10 minutes? Okay, cool. I want to take it back more to the business aspect of it. And what are some lessons that you've learned on business along the way? Do you have any sort of faith at all? I'm interested to see, like, are you spiritual in any single way, or religious? Or do you believe in any higher power?
I mean, it's like I was born into a Catholic family, but I would say I'm not religious, spiritual, like.
And spirituality isn't like, let me light incense and do
Yeah,
yoga.
I know.
You know, it's more about like understanding, because like I think you're spiritual without even realizing it, because like you went through this dark moment. You were like processing your emotions. You were facing your fear, or facing that inevitability. That is a big part of spirituality. Even though, and actually you do it reflecting on your values, reflecting on your beliefs, consciously deciding the person you're going to be. That's actually way more spiritual than you may even know.
Yeah, I think, you know what, the term spiritual has,
Connotations.
yes, the society has kind of turned it. So that's why when you say that, I'm like, am I spiritual? But yeah, when you put it like that, yes.
Yeah, it's not like you're lighting incense and you're going waving feathers at people's faces. You know, that's like very base level. You know, yeah. So tell us some of the business lessons that you've learned along the way. Some hard lessons that maybe you wish you would have known sooner, or that you would tell your younger self going through this.
The first thing that comes to mind, so I'm definitely a perfectionist. So one of the business advice that came from a friend, it's actually Sharky that you've met, was about stop trying to, like, what's that saying? Stop letting perfect get in the way of good. So, for example, I'm always ideating about events, and I'm usually working on, okay, I need to find the perfect venue, and then I need to get this decor, and then I need to do this, and then I have to get like everything has to be perfect and getting all the details right. And what I normally do, the old way, was like getting everything perfect and then and then launching the product or the service or whatever it is, so the event. And he was like, how long is it taking you? Let's just say it took me 3 months to perfect this event that I want to put out there, this new idea. And he's like, you know, in that time, maybe another business owner would have put 10 things out there already, and you'd be late to the market. So let's say, back to the jet ski idea, let's just say I hummed and hawed about it and then wanted to perfect it, find the right partner, find enough jet skis, and then do this and do that, and then find the right people and then make it perfect. First of all, what is perfect anyways, right? But maybe in that time, if that took me to design this jet ski and I want to be first in the world, maybe in that time frame, like 3 other people would have tried it, and then I wouldn't be the first. And this whole perfect thing, what does it matter anyways? Because I wasn't the first to do it. And I lost my edge, right? So
basically, done is better than perfect, and speed.
And so what he advised me was also, especially when at the beginning, when not a lot of people knew me, right? It was sort of like, Andrea, what are you so afraid of? Let's say you do screw up. What's the worst that can happen? That 10 people are unhappy? And then what do? Like, write a bad review? Like, what are you so scared about? That, like, what is the worst that can happen? But on the flip side, if you put it out fast and just try it out, do a little tester, you can iterate and fix this so fast so that your second, third, and fourth version of that would be so much better.
100%.
But if you took all this time to perfect it, like, again, you're wasting all this precious time where you could just test it out, iterate, change it.
This is so
and
important.
Move faster.
This is so important, because like 100%, because all you know about it is what you think. You don't know what the market's going to respond to, which is why like you'll see my barn doors over there are made of cardboard. And you'll see as they progress, they get better and better each time. But if I just like, oh, it has to be perfect, it would have never got out. So I really like that. And I think that's a very, very important lesson to learn. Anything else?
What other things? Strategic partnerships are really important. So whether for events, I have to find really good venue partners who see the value of what I'm bringing to them. We're helping each other out. But these strategic partnerships, so again, rather than going about it on your own and thinking like, okay, it's me against the world and I have to do everything on my own. If you strategically partner up, so one of the reasons why I do networking events, selfishly, is because I want to meet people. And I want to meet people because remember when I said during the dark time, what pulled me out of that was having a really great support system. So imagine when you're trying to figure out what you're doing with your business. Again, I'm sure all business owners, no matter if you're first year in your business or 10th year, we all admit we don't know what we're doing. There's times when we're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I don't always know what I'm doing.
That's the fun of it.
Right. And so we always need the resources around us, right? Like you're helping me with a VA situation, right? Like I'm not always the expert in every aspect of my business, right? Like I'm not an accountant. I'm not a photographer, like videographer. So I'm not an expert in every field. So I'm going to need help. And so it's really important as you meet these people. And again, when you're a good person and you're all about helping people, which is what I am, I find that these people want to work with you and they want to help you. So you help each other. And that really helps drive and grow your business much faster than if you're just like, I'm just going to tackle it on my own and do it on my own. So as I'm networking and making these strategic partnerships and bartering, right? It's one of the oldest things that have been around, but it's like, let me help you. Like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And that again helps. And it just, again, it expedites the growth of your business in terms of if you want to scale or just do bigger and better things, right? Like if I get sponsors or different partners, my event grows and the audience size grows because I'm leveraging 2-3 other partners in this sort of aspect. And that's been very, very helpful again.
So basically like another spiritual concept, you give it to get it. You give what you want to receive. So you're giving value, you're giving partnerships, you're helping. You're not just it's not about you. You're helping others, and in turn, it's almost like it helps you back. Have you noticed? And I want to know what you think. As you're grown mentally, spiritually, emotionally, do you see that reflected in your outside world?
It's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that. And usually I'm so hard on myself and only noticing the negatives. But when I think back to it, as I'm helping, so my businesses are about connecting people and helping others.
Which she does an amazing job. Like, honestly, at her events, every time I went to one of her events, I got a client or I made a friend or I made a good relationship. So, like, she knows what she's doing. If you're in Toronto area, come out to her events.
Unpaid testimonial. No, so I'm connecting people, trying to make this a happier place of people connecting. And so, yeah, I guess when I look around, it is a true reflection of that because I am surrounded by really amazing people. And I constantly get contacted by people who sort of want a piece of it. They're like, you know, whether I want to help you or I want to get your help on doing my business, or they want to collaborate and do an event together. And so I think from me contributing and helping other people, that is reflected around me. And then I have a really good support system around me.
Which is great. Which I think now that you like I've framed it this way, I think you should take a look because you'll notice like you're processing something like, and I'll tell you right now, like I'm going to make a prediction right here on air. Like the next lesson, which I know because I've gone through this with all my clients, is in order to have order in your life, you need to relinquish control. Mm-hmm. And then you'll notice and every single entrepreneur has had to go through this at one point or another, because once you trust others and once you let them do their work fulfillingly, you will just simply have more order. It's just the nature of the world. I'm telling you, I'm making a prediction right now. I told you so. So when we're watching back at this, when this launches.
Okay.
Andrea, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm going to one of your events tonight. And what do you want to leave with our audience? What do you want to leave with them to remember you or your conversation or anything you want to say to them?
Okay, I'll say a couple things and you can cut it up however you like. Is that okay?
Leave it in.
Okay, one of the things. So, my mission with Toronto Dating Hub, I am transforming the way Toronto singles are meeting and connecting through coaching services as well as unique events. So, I'm hoping if you're single out there looking to either make new friends, new connections, or find love, I really hope you take a chance and come out to a Toronto Dating Hub event. You won't regret it. I guarantee that you'll come out of there with new friends and a new experience for sure. When it comes to business events, if you're looking to network, grow your business networks, meet other like-minded business owners, and just get out of the house, again, I really hope you come to a Toronto Event Hub event. Or if you need help with your own events, so if you hate doing events or you don't know how to put them together or it's just too much work, then I hope you reach out. I love doing events. So if there's a way to collaborate and help you or help each other out, I would love to put on your event together. So there's that. And then the other thing I want to say, heard it here first, because I know one of your questions that you didn't get to ask yet was, what am I currently working on or how I'm going to do things differently? So the few things that I'm working on that you're going to hear it first, well, one was I hope to become an officiant. And there are two other things I'm working on currently. So I have met some divorcees who have been having a tough time, and there's a growing number of divorcees in the market. They have no idea how to date, and they're also obviously been through a lot of challenges in their life. I'm going to be creating something. The name might change, but I'm going to be doing divorcee parties.
Oh, that's
like just something
amazing.
for divorcees to come together who they will either bond through what they went through or just talk and, so there'll be a divorcee party. And the other thing is I've been hearing a lot of feedback about, okay, I'm this old. Can I come to your event? But I'm this old. I might be over your range or under your range. Can you please do events for this age group? There's a lot of thing about age. So I'm going to break that. And what I want to do is create, and again, it's not being done right now in this industry. It's always about age. Like between this age to this age, I'm going to stop doing the age ranges and try this out. And I want to do life stages. So for example, if you're in the life stage where you're looking to get married or if you want a serious relationship, because who am I to tell you like 45 is too old or
I love this.
21 is too young, right? Like, but if you know that's what you're looking for and you are actually in that life stage, I'm going to start categorizing the events by life stages and not ages and just try that out.
I think that's a good idea.
Right, succeed or fail, but I think based on what I'm seeing and hearing, I think, so that's how I innovate. I listen to what the issue is and I try to say, well, how can I turn it on its head? Like what is the actual issue here and how can I solve that? So when I hear all these like issues with like ages, and sometimes I've had people call me I'm ageist, right? And so I'm like, okay, then I'm going to stop using age. Right. And currently I'm dating someone who's 7 years younger. So I'm a living proof of I'm a living proof of age is just really a number.
It is.
Right. So I'm going to stop doing the age thing and do life stages.
That's amazing. Andrea, where can they find you?
TorontoDatingHub.com or TorontoEventHub.com. I'm on all the platforms, so you can find me, and I hope to connect with you soon.
She will be on a lot more platforms now that we're going to be helping out with her VA. Andrea, thank you so much. It's been absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed our conversation here, and I will definitely have to have her on before. Thank you, and thanks so much for being on.
Thank you so much.